What is up, F and True followers, wrestling fans, and members of the YWC? I'm JC Styles here with the F and brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com with the TNA Impact review for January 24th, 2013. We start off the show with video highlights of last week's wedding footage, video footage also showing of a brawl that happened after Impact went off the air. We see the Aces and Eights enter the arena as we start the show with Taz at the head of the group. There's about 12 people standing behind Taz, and he gets in the ring and grabs for a mic. He says people have been asking him all week. He says life is full of opportunities. How can he pass up a machine group? How can he pass the group with an agenda to get revenge? How can he not take direction from a higher power? How can he pass on that? Taz laughs. He starts to mock Brooke and how she was focused around her. How the show is focused around her. Taz says that the wedding was only for them to stand on their faces to take direction from a higher authority. He brings up Dixie Carter and his contract he signed several years ago. Well, it says that if he gets touched, he can own this place. This is Aces and Eights. Deal with the destruction. Brooke and Bully are just small damage. But just wait. Stay out of their way. Their music hits and Taz walks around to the members and shaking their hands. Then goes up to takes his rightful spot at the commentator's table. We then see Jessie and Tara backstage as Tara's getting ready to defend her Knockouts title against Velvet in just moments. They also show a video highlight package hyping up the TNA World Heavyweight Championship main event, Jeff Hardy defending against Christopher Daniels later on tonight. We then see Tara defeat Velvet Sky to retain her Knockouts Championship. A video package is shown for the return of Open Fight Night for next week. We then see Kenny King and Zema Ion talking backstage and start talking about their match up next, coming up a little bit, with RVD and Christian York. They talk about how RVD beat Zema Ion for the X Division Championship and how Kenny King was screwed by Christian York out of a X Division Championship shot. Then Joseph Park comes out, talks about the training he received in his match at Genesis. He then talks about how next week they're going to be in England for Open Fight Night and that he could challenge whoever he wants. He then states that he is going to go through intensive research and overlook every wrestler on the TNA roster and study them and see who he wants to pick out for a match at Open Fight Night. We then see Kenny King and Zema Ion pick up the win over RVD and Christian York. Then Bully Ray comes out, talks about the events of last week, talks about how the people that he cared about were left laying on the floor and hurt. He talked about how the person who had his trust all along, Sting, was hurt. Also, Hulk Hogan, who he was trying to gain his respect and his trust so he can marry Brooke, and how he was hurt, and that how the woman he loves, Brooke, was hurt as well to see everyone that she cared about knocked out in the middle of the ring. He begs Hogan to lift the suspension, but being that Hogan is not there tonight, Sting comes out and addresses what Bully has stated and that they were going to take this issue head on and that Hogan always does what's right for business and Hogan always does the right thing. We then see video packages of the incident between Chavo Hernandez and Rude and Aries from last week. This leads into Bobby Roode picking up the win over Hernandez. Kurt Angle then comes out and talks about wanting a piece of Anderson next week at Open Fight Night. Talks about how he is going to expose all of the Aces and Eights. Throughout the night, Taz was acting really smug and really like arrogance, over cockiness, overzealous, and he's talking through. He talked pretty much over everybody tonight. He also talked over pretty much when he usually says "let the pigeons loose." He really just skipped over that and just really played the heel very well. Taz has always been known for that, but he says on the mic at the commentator's table that Kurt Angle better watch out what he's doing and who he threatens. Anderson then comes out and talks about his history with Kurt Angle. He tries to get a jump on Kurt by sucker punching Kurt, but Kurt pops right back up and attacks Anderson. Then Anderson scurries out of the ring, and then we find out that next week at Open Fight Night we will see Kurt Angle and Anderson inside a steel cage. We then lead into video footage leading up to the main event of the night. Then we come across Hardy defeating Daniels, which was a really good match. These guys really work very well together. I must say that there's a really great, essence when these two guys get in the ring. They work really well together. They both have a moveset that really complements one another. We then see Taz come down to interview Jeff. As he gets closer and closer to the ring, Jeff is, anxious. He's kind of backing away because he doesn't know what Taz is going to do. He then gets on the mic and says that what will Jeff do when everyone in TNA is left on their backs and he is left on his back without the TNA World Heavyweight Championship? We then see one of the members of the Masked Aces and Eights run up behind Jeff with a ball-peen hammer and smack him right in the back of the knee. The referees and the trainers jump in the ring to check on him, and the show goes off the air. Now, this Impact really wasn't as great as last week's. I'm going to say that. I thought that it could have been a little bit better. But then again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Not every week you can have a 5-star show. And I think that this was a pretty good show. There was a little more wrestling this week than there was last week because they were all hyping up the wedding. And the wedding was really great. So with that being said, for the F and Brain, guys, please leave your comments in the comment box below. Let me know your thoughts on what you thought of the show. And for the F and Brand of Wrestling and Entertainment here on YouTube.com, I'm JC Styles, and I'll catch you later.